Hey everyone, you're watching the Useless Potato Podcast. I'm your host for the night, Dan, and I'm joined by my friends Taylor and Neko. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
I'm doing
Yeah,
pretty all right.
this is the first podcast, guys. So for those who haven't heard any news or anything about this, mind you, we're probably not going to have any viewers for the first stream itself. It'll probably be when the videos go, on YouTube and stuff that we'll actually have some folks that can hear everything. Or have some folks that are watching, rather, sorry. So for this podcast, guys, basically, we just talk about everything and anything. There's really no specific goal of the podcast. We're mostly here just to talk, have a good time. If we get anything, creative done or anything of actual value contributed to society, maybe we can celebrate, but I think we're mostly just going to be shooting the shit here.
You mean this isn't the Hello Kitty Island podcast? All right, I'm leaving.
It is, but unfortunately, it is the R34 one, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, I guess.
Oh no,
Lord Almighty!
FBI, this conversation right here.
Listen,
I need a goal.
Listen, Velma doesn't call the cops on you anymore. You can't threaten me. Anyways, so
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Nika.
Did they ever actually call the cops ever?
Yeah.
In any of the PBDs?
Yeah.
In the game that that she's in, the fighting game right now, they removed a thing where she would call the police on people as a special ability, and they drag them away in a car and try to drive them off the screen. They've removed that now because apparently it was deemed culturally insensitive to have a bunch of police show up, arrest LeBron James for no reason, and drive off.
Someone didn't think that one through at all.
This looks a little strange.
That's a little sussy.
Today and not running this by HR.
Oh my god. And I know there was no intent there. It'd be stupid to say there was, but good god, that's just funny.
That is very much developed in a vacuum. Someone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have Velma arrest people," and then they didn't talk that over with the rest of the team, thinking, "Wait a minute, there's some characters that if they get hit with this, it's gonna be very questionable looking."
That's right. Everyone knows LeBron James is the best fictional character out of every fighting game.
Yes.
I wish he was real. That'd be really cool.
That'd be fantastic.
Right? God.
Played by famous actor LeBron James in Space Jam.
That's right. Did you know to prepare for the role of LeBron James in Space Jam 2, LeBron James had to be a basketball player for several years? Very committed to that role. Very committed.
Should have won an Oscar.
Pretty good.
So anyways, we actually had a topic for today, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Really?
Yeah. So, today's topic, the one that I chose because I'm the host for this session, was actually going to be worst experiences you've ever had working a retail job or being in a retail environment, whether you were an employee or someone that was there shopping, and you had a bad experience with the store itself or with another customer. It doesn't matter. All right, anything from the time you kind of got screwed over getting a refund on something to the time the dude who was shooting up heroin in the parking lot, tried to give you a quick anal probe for $50.
Is that a story you want to tell us, Dan? I feel like it's something you need to tell us.
So my first story, do you guys, before we get started, do you guys actually have stories about this too, or is this just me? Am I the only one?
I have one, but I don't think I'm going to top whatever you're about to say.
Oh my god.
I've got a couple.
All right. So, this is a story I like to call 14 and pregnancy diarrhea. So.
Oh, good title.
So, excuse me. When I was 14 years old, I had my first job at a McDonald's, right? Now, normally I wouldn't say company names, but it's McDonald's, right? What are they gonna do? Come fucking mixu me? So,
McSlander.
that's right. Ronald McFondled is gonna come and slap a McLawsuit on my desk. So, I was 14 years old, right? I had to go to the office at high school and go get a work permit. I was the youngest person in my class, I think. Yeah, and so I had a job. And when I went and got a job, what no one told me was how rough working retail could be, because my dad never did that. He was an engineer. He worked, in the Navy as a boiler tech for years. He worked as a mail carrier for quite a while, like at the mail sorting facilities. He was one of the guys who did the tray transfers and stuff like that. And God, my throat is rough tonight. And so my mom never worked retail either. She worked food service for a little while in college, but, that was different back then. So no one told me going into, working with the general public just how fucking awful it could be. And for reference, right, I lived in northern Maine at the time. Yeah.
Yes.
And so the population there was mostly old people. There were a few people my age, but in northern Maine, nothing happens. Like, just nothing happens. Other than the time that dude, got high on bath salts and tried to kill somebody. But other than that, nothing happens.
That's the Maine's highlight. That's their contribution to history.
Also, completely unrelated, can one of you two go watch the stream real quick to make sure our audio sounds good? I just realized we probably should have done that before we started.
Yes.
All right. Anyways, I'll keep telling the story. So, I got the job at McDonald's, right? And when you're that age, there are a lot of things you can't do in jobs like that. I was allowed to take the trash out, but I was not allowed to throw it in the dumpster. I was allowed to clean and mop the floors, but I was not allowed to... I wasn't even allowed to open the packages of ketchup to refill the ketchup dispensers.
Okay, interesting restriction.
It's because you had to use knives and scissors to get them open. I couldn't throw things in the dumpster because they were worried I'd hurt myself, basically, because of labor laws in the state. So my job was mostly the lobby. I cleaned. That's all I did. I cleaned things, I refilled machines, and I scrubbed tables. That's what I did. I was more or less just a glorified janitor. And I quit my job after one day of just the worst thing I had ever seen. I had the job for a grand total of 1 month before I just walked out. I left my shift, and I called them, and I informed them I would not be coming back for another after just a month of working there. So, I'm in there, right? I'm mopping the floor. Everything's fine. And this lady comes in, and I don't know how to describe her other than, super fucking pregnant. When a chicken is in the oven and it's got that little thing that pops out to let you know, hey, I'm done? That was her fucking belly button.
Oh, yeah, you can see their belly button. Can you see their belly button under their clothes? They're just,
yeah,
you can almost see the baby kicking.
Yeah, did one of you guys...
Double watermelon?
Yeah, did one of you guys check the stream to make sure all the audio is good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so are you going to tell me, or am I going to sit here in silence?
That's good.
Mystery? Okay. So...
I would have brought it up if it was bad.
All right.
Yeah, we put it in chat and stuff.
Perfect. I don't have the chat up, so... I probably should. Anyways, so I go about just washing tables, cleaning everything, minding my own business. And then suddenly... I see the women's bathroom door fly open, and this woman just comes flying out of there, right? And, she is waddling just as fast as she fucking can to get out the door. So, I'm just kind of well, that was weird. And then I go back to what I'm doing, and then I hear a bunch of shouting and a woman screaming. So, I walk over, and there is a gathering of people. Everyone who was eating in this goddamn lobby has gotten up to go see what the source of distress is. And I get there, and if you have sensitive stomachs, now is a good time to stop listening. There is a trail this woman has left. I understand sometimes we all miss the toilet. That is not what happened here. I don't know what this woman did to make this happen. But the stall door is wide open. She didn't close it behind her. There is a full toilet bowl of just shit, right? It is full. And it runs from the back of the toilet down into the bowl, up over the front, and about a foot in front of it. And there are footprints tracking through it out the lobby, out the building.
Jesus Christ.
And I don't know what's worse, that this happened or that amidst all the chaos and the destruction, I saw a lot of shit, a lot of footprints. You know what I didn't fucking see? Toilet paper.
Uh-oh.
So
Oh,
this
no.
woman went into the bathroom, was violently ill, I assume, and then just realized, oh god, they're going to know this was me, and just bailed. And based on what I saw, she didn't even try to flush it. She knew that was a losing game. She just left. She just said, fuck that noise, and just bailed, which, understandable. And so my manager comes over to me, and god, if she's anywhere, I hope someone lightly scratches her car every day forever. Just, god, I hated this woman. Walks over to me and starts screaming at me because I'm just frozen. I don't know what to do about this. I'm 14. Am I allowed to handle hazardous waste?
Yeah, like that's fair. Like what were you supposed to do?
So she starts screaming at me, asking me why I'm just standing there, and I just looked at her. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this. And she's like, you have to clean it. And I'm like, I think that's one of the things I'm not allowed to do. And she literally shoves a mop into my hands and just screams at me and points at the floor and is just yelling at me. And so I just kind of mop the floor a little bit. And then after a while, I'm like, nah, $7.25 an hour ain't worth this.
Hell no.
So I went and I took the mop head, I took it off and I threw it in the trash, set the mop handle back where it came from, and then told her I hope she has a nice day. And then I left. I called my dad because I wasn't old enough to drive yet. And I was like, Dad, you need to come get me. I can't be here. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I can't be here. It's time to go home now. So he gets me home, and I guess he knew that I was not living my best life, because he just looked at me and was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. No, Dad. No. All right, I saw hell today.
It's just you're just fortunate sun playing, 1,000-yard stare in your eyes.
Everywhere I go, I just hear the sound of distant Hueys. Oh, my phone's ringing. I gotta turn that off. So I called them the next day, and my boss, not my manager, but like the manager of the place, is the one that answers. And I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm not coming in. And she was like, oh, are you sick? And I'm like, no, I'm just not coming in. You should probably take me off the schedule for tomorrow, too. And so she asked me what was wrong, and I'm 14 years old, right? So I'm not good at conversation yet. I don't know how to tell this woman what I just went through yesterday. So I just let her know, the job's not for me. I'm sorry to leave you high and dry, but I gotta, I can't work here anymore for reasons. And my mom, of all people, asked me, like, you're gonna put in your 2 weeks, right? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna put in my 2 weeks. I'm not going to risk the odds, like, of having that happen a second time, okay? Because you know what happened the day prior to that? Someone came in and just vomited all over one of the tables, all right? Bodily fluids were everywhere that they did not belong in that gross-ass restaurant.
Oh, God. What's wrong with that McDonald's?
I don't know. It was so bad, Taylor. Every week, there was, have you ever been out and about and you see there are usually, like, sometimes there's a group of special needs people and there's, like, a person that's with them, taking care of them, making them go places so they can see stuff and interact with, like, the public and be a part of society?
Yeah.
Every week they would come to this McDonald's. One of them would either throw up all over the tables, piss somewhere, or just not know how to eat, so there would just be mounds of half-chewed, half-digested food all over the benches and tables.
Oh, God.
So, like, yeah.
I'm out.
I was 14 years old, and I just, like I said, the $7.25 was just not worth it, bruh.
Nah.
And one of my friends who also worked there said, when you leave like that, when you just quit a job like that, it looks bad for the rest of us. And I was like, fuck you, Steve. Steve, if you're watching this, and his name was Steven. Steven, if you're watching this, fuck you. Okay, fuck you.
Yeah, he said, fuck you, Steve.
For real, though.
God damn it, Steve.
For real. But yeah, that was my experience working at goddamn Mickey D's.
Wow, we got to follow that up. No, great. So Nico, do you want to go or you want to follow that up?
Sure. Yeah, I'll follow that up. First of all, McDonald's is that bad?
Yes.
So I've never been in any kind of like fast food.
Like Nick, I need you to
environment
understand
as far as-
something. When you go to McDonald's, empty heroin needles are a condiment.
I don't know what kind of McDonald's y'all have been going to. I live in a small town. Our McDonald's
Yeah, I
is
was
all
about to say.
right.
Yeah, ours is pretty
We have a
clean.
Burger King near our apartment. We call it Stabby Burger King.
Stabby Burger King. That's not ketchup. That's heroin addict blood. Yay, it has some salt. To
Oh,
the
that's why
burger.
it's so congealed. Got it.
This tastes like iron. So as I've never had any like retail experience in like the food industry, my list of things that have gone on aren't as grotesque, I guess. But there was one time I was working. I was on a closing shift, and I work in a like a department store. We sell clothes and all that jazz. But our bathroom is all the way at the back of the building, next to our back room. So we're closing, getting everything ready. Doors already locked. I'm heading to the back room to grab my stuff, and I go to clean the bathroom, and there is shit on the sink, on the toilet, like on the toilet, like an actual like log of shit on the toilet.
Oh no.
Not in, on.
Talk about not being able to hit the toilet. But not only that, but like handprints, like along the walls.
Oh.
Awful.
Oh, good.
Like,
They're cave paintings.
Yeah, I still work for this place, by the way. Like I hate it. I
Oh.
still work for this place.
Oh.
I didn't clean it. I went to my manager like, hey, this is gross. I don't want to touch that. Can you make him do it? So I was a little higher on the like hierarchy in work, I guess. So I just went across the store to tell them to clean the bathroom and didn't think about it again.
Just left.
And
Bye.
that's one of the worst times I've had working.
I
But
just pictured
there was
Nico-
another time.
I just pictured Nico walking over to someone and just being like, "Hey there, Craig. Yeah, listen. Janice says you're lower than me on the shit totem pole. So I'm gonna need you to just go in there, glove up real quick, and yeah, fuck
Knock
you.
that out.
just go. I don't care." It's like, but Nico, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I thought about that, Craig. The problem is that I don't care.
See, I would have felt bad, but
Oh,
I don't
Facebook notification.
particularly like the people that I work with.
I'm really bad at streaming. I need to make sure that I get my stuff turned off. Holy God.
It's fine. I just always have mine off. But I had another moment, same place. It was in the middle of the day, and I was about to go on my lunch break. I was walking out the back room, heading up to the front to clock out, and this woman just yells, "Hey, can you come here?" And I walked down the little like hallway, I guess, and looked to the right, and the floor is just covered in vomit. It's like she like projectiled one way and then turned her head and went the other way.
Well, listen, you got to even it out, all right?
Exactly. Even coverage.
Yeah, sure, but I was going on lunch. I was ready to be done with the place already, and I'm just sitting there just, what do I do? I work in the back. I don't clean things typically. This was after I stopped actually working and doing the closing shifts actually on the floor. Always in the back now. So I don't know where they keep the cleaning supplies anymore at that point. Or like I guess their what's the word?
Sanitation?
Sure, that. Their sanitation policies. So I look over around for any other employee, and my manager comes running up, and she's like panicking because she doesn't want to deal with it either. But it's not my job to deal with it, but it kind of is. But I just go to the front, clock out, go on my lunch break because I was already doing that. So I just kind of left them to do the work while I went on my break.
So once again, just go, nope, and peaced out.
Just
Basically.
God.
I'm by no means a social creature.
I do not miss dealing with that. Oh my God.
Is it my turn now? I guess.
I think that's you, man.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I'll first do, because none of mine are that good. Like they're not like on this level. Because I worked at a guitar store and I worked the reception desk for a college. So I pretty much got easy mode customer service. I will say like high school band moms are the absolute worst. They are like the proto Karens because they're like they got impatient. They try to give coupons you don't have, because we were like a small music store. We weren't Guitar Center. We weren't Sweetwater. We were none of these big box brands. We were just this small town guitar store that I worked at in college. And band moms would come in and like get so mad at us because we weren't fast enough. We didn't have the drumsticks they wanted because they waited too long and the other band kids got theirs. Just absolute, I don't know what it is. They were the worst. But so at this guitar store, this really isn't a horror story on a customer's part. It was more on me and the other employees' part, because we would have these two guys that would always come into the guitar store and just crank up the amps and just play guitar for like 2 to 3 hours and then leave. They would never buy anything. They wouldn't talk to us. They wouldn't ask questions. Like they would just come in and use us for like free jam sessions. And the two older guys I worked with, I think Jeremy and someone else, we'll name him Steve. So Jeremy and Steve were like, "Hey, Taylor, you see that amp over there?" And this was the owner's like really nice, like vintage, I think it was like a PV. And the thing was loud. Like it wasn't really it wasn't bigger than a radiator, but it reverberated the windows. Like
I
at
like
half
that
volume.
you used a radiator as a side.
That's all I could think.
Like, goddamn, we Americans will use anything except the fucking metric system to describe sizes and weights. Goddamn.
It was like 43 freedom units tall. Fuck metric system. So they're like, "Hey Taylor, go over and play." And so I grabbed one of the guitars. It has a pretty like definite tone to it. Like it's not like loud, but like it's very like in your face tone.
It's got presence.
And so went over there. It's got presence. Like it growls when it wants to. So plugged it in and like cranked it up to like 8, not 11, just 8. And I started playing so loud that like the drum set, like the snares began to like jump up from the vibrations. Like you could see the windows shake. And these two dudes were just looking at me, pissed off. And I was playing like every cliched guitar store thing I could think of. I played the beginning to Crazy Train, and only the beginning to Crazy Train. Didn't move on. Then I played Sweet Home Alabama, but only played the intro.
I just picture you playing not even like the full intro, just bum bum bam bum bum bam bum bum bam just over and over for 5 hours.
Over and over. Did that, and then played Smoke on the Water. Like just every cliche beginner guitar song I could think of on this amp. None of it sounded good because it was just like cranked up. And we got these dudes to leave, and I look over and I see like my two coworkers losing their shit. They are like, they had to hide behind the counter, like sit and lay on the floor because they were laughing that hard. There was that story. Then there was the time my boss threw a phone at me.
What?
All right, time for.
I'm sorry.
So time for context. Context is great. So this small town guitar store wasn't really doing well towards the end because it was like a town of 5,000 people. Like there was more livestock than there were people in this town. And it was doing really bad. And I could tell because my pay was all under the table. I didn't file a W-2. I didn't file any official like employment tax forms. It was all cash or check.
That is risky business right there, my man.
Well, I was just getting paid. I didn't care. Not my business. And so he was doing really, really bad. And I was going through like another round of like dusting the cymbals, dusting the guitars. And for some reason, my boss just got really agitated at me for no reason. I don't even remember what I did. And he's like, "What's the price of that cymbal right there?" I went, I don't know. What? And he just like goes on like, "You're always dusting and cleaning and no, but you like don't ever blah, blah, blah." I'm like, like what is wrong? And then he finally got mad and like I went to go clean something and I missed a spot. I don't know what he did, but all I remember is like just getting hit in the chest with a phone. I was like, what the fuck? I was mad. I was like, dude, I'm cleaning, I'm doing my job. You know I try to upsell people on your bullshit. It's not my fault that no one wants to buy a guitar in this small ass town. Didn't say that. I was like, I just kind of kept my mouth shut, waited for my grandmother to pick me up. And I was so pissed, I forgot my phone. And ran out and we were driving home and I'm like, hey grandma. She's like, what? And I was shaking. Like, you know that point where you're so mad you're on the verge of tears.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're like
Yeah.
you're like one like Titanic song away from just bawling right then and there. Might just be me. So I was like, hey, can you turn around and go in there and get my phone? Because I didn't want to look him in the face. This dude had just beamed me with a phone. And so drove back and she went in and he came out and apologized. He's like, hey, sorry, hope you come back, blah, 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 blah. At that moment, I'm like, I'm gonna quit. I'm just gonna take summer classes. Once I'm enrolled in those, I'm done. The moment I got my first bill for the summer classes, I quit. I said, oh, I need to focus on school. No, 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 no. And then quit. I was out. And then he hired another guy who had never played a guitar in his entire life. Like I knew this dude. Like he played like a little bit of country, but it was just like acoustic at like a tailgate. Nothing serious. I was like, okay, yeah, you're going downhill. And so quit. And yeah, I think that store closed down about 4 months after. So
Oof. It always sucks when small town businesses like that go under, but like it's one of those things, you see it a lot with gaming stores, where a lot of gaming stores just don't make it because people will know the product, but they just can't talk to people. There was a game store near where I grew up that was just like that. It's still open. I won't say the name of it, but there was a game store near my hometown, and every time you go into this game store, and this is true to this day, you can go in and the guy that's there, he does not like you. It doesn't matter who you are. He does not like you. He does not have time for you in his busy life of watching anime behind the counter on his laptop.
what is? Yeah, I had like, well, technically, like they tried to like it was the same group of guys and they tried to open the exact same location for the exact same thing 4 times.
Yeah, it's just, and the thing is that this guy, because I would go there for Warhammer models, but the guy just, if you went over and he saw you picking up models that he didn't like, he would actually make fun of you. If you asked him for paint help, he would not give it. Like, this guy just, I don't know why he ran a gaming store other than the fact that he wanted to run a gaming store. And because of the town that we were in, he's the only one in the town. And there's a college in that town, which means basically he has no competition. So he gets to just be a prick with no ramification because the alternative is, where else are you going to go play Magic? Where else are you going to go play Warhammer or anything like that? Nowhere. You have to just live with him being an ass. And
yeah, that or you hope like the younger generation just leave and but you have a college, so that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen, no. But yeah, so I get what you're saying. I have another story too. This is an old favorite of mine. This is, I haven't told you guys this one, but this is a story that I love telling just because it's one of the most what the fuck things I think I've ever seen. So I was, God, 19, no, I was 20. Working at a large, like, what do you call it? I don't want to say the name of it. It's one of the places where businesses go to buy things to sell to regular customers.
Wholesale?
Yeah. So it's one of those. And I am greeting people at the entrance at this generic brand-friendly place. And
Steve's Wholesale.
Yeah, Steve's Wholesale. So I'm working at Steve's Wholesale, right? Run by Steve Walton. And so I'm there, and I have to greet people at the entrance door. And, you know, you see a lot of interesting people when you have to do that because, you know, you have to see everyone that comes in. It's unavoidable. Unless they find a way to sneak in through the break room, you're going to see them.
Yeah.
And one day, I'm sitting there, and there's like a cart bay between the actual, like, beginning of the store and the entrance. And The cart bay is really loud. If you are inside the cart bay, you can't hear anything outside of that room. And if you are in the store proper, even if you're just a few feet away from the doors, if you are not in that cart bay, you cannot hear what is happening in that cart bay. So I'm standing there, and then all of a sudden, I can hear shouting, which means someone is yelling, like at the top of their lungs in that room. In order for me to be able to hear them over the fans, the blowers, the carts being pushed together, and the tire center that's right next to it, someone has to be being very loud. So I go over to go see what's going on, like, is someone getting in a fight? And I see a man and a woman arguing, and they're walking in together. And the woman is old, and she is that kind of old where, you know, old people who are hunched up to the point that it looks like they're trying to touch their toes?
Oh yeah, they got like hardcore old hunchback syndrome.
Yeah, like they've got the
like
scoliosis. That level of old, right? So, yeah, she's that old. And I thought they came in together. What had happened was, no, they were just walking in together at the same time. So, he gets away from her. He keeps walking in, and she stays behind, and she's still yelling to him, though. And I can't hear what they're saying. I think maybe he's just being super loud because she's deaf. And I say, hey, you know, I think your grandmother's waiting for you, or, you know, that lady you came with, she's waiting for you to come back to her. And he looks at me and goes, I have no idea who that is. And I'm like, oh.
What?
So I look back at her, and now she is screaming at one of my coworkers who's in the room with her. Like, just shouting at him. Just losing her mind on him. And he walks in, and I'm like, what was that about? And he goes, oh, her? Yeah, she comes here sometimes. She's crazy. And he just leaves. And I look over, and she has bags. She just has bags and bags and bags of things. And I'm like, oh, no. Because those are all returns. All of them.
Oh, no. Customer service is going to be mad today.
So she goes over to the little motor carts, right? Of
course.
She sits down on each of them, turns them on. She'll go over. She'll sit down, unplug it, turn it on, turn it off, plug it back in. She does this to every single one of them. 6 in total.
What is she checking for?
I don't know. So she does this, and apparently the one on the very end, the last one she checked, that was the one. That was the one. That's the good
That one had the best butt feel and like best.
That was the one. That was the one that made her Pampers sit the best way. So she gets all of this shit in her cart, and she drives in, and I'm looking at this stuff. I can already tell most of this is not from here. And unfortunately, at that time, part of company policy was you had to put stickers on things. And if they had a lot of things, instead of stickering the items, you would get one sticker and you'd write down the quantity of the items. That way, when they came in, they could go straight to the desk, and the desk would know immediately, hey, they walked in with this. They did not just go get this from the shelf and walk to the desk with it. I do a quick count, and eventually I'm like, I'm not counting all of this. It's mostly clothes. All of different sizes, all for different sexes. Just clothes. Just a mountain of clothes. And so I just write down, I think it was like greater than 50, and just put it on the bag, and was like, desk is that way. So she doesn't say a word. She just drives her way over to the desk, and then a few seconds pass, and I hear shouting again. And I look over, and she's got a box of shoes in her hands, and she's screaming at the desk lady. And I don't know what happened, but I think the printer beeped or something, because she turned and just overhead tossed the box of shoes at that printer like it was fucking Beelzebub, and she was trying to exorcise it from the room.
With the fucking shoe box.
She just yeeted them at it, and is just pointing and shouting. And it's funny to watch her point and shout at somebody, because she's so bent over that, like, her body has to bend and twist in very interesting ways to accommodate that motion. So
she went out of her. Oh my god.
She gets done, and they don't kick her out, because apparently this is a common occurrence with her. She goes back to the cart, and she drives over to me. And finally, I get to have her speak to me, and she asks very calmly and very politely, where the fuck did you put my soda? And I'm like, I didn't have your soda. And she just drives past me and goes back to the cart room, backs the cart back into where it goes, plugs it back in, walks over to the glass door, and stands there just staring out of it at people. Just staring. Just for 5 minutes. Not a word. Doesn't move.
Can you imagine going to quote Steve's and there's just this old ass woman death glaring you as you're just like trying to go in and get your like fucking burgers in bulk, and there's God. There's Agnes and fucking death glaring you.
And like I'm like, do I need to call somebody? What the fuck? So eventually, she gets back into the cart, turns it on, drives back to me, goes, "I found it," and drives past me. She still doesn't have a soda, right? She has not left my line of sight at all. So I don't know what she's on about, but there is no soda in that cart. And she drives over to the TV display. She gets out of the cart, walks over to the TV, and she is just staring at one of the display TVs and is just balling her fists, just glaring at it. And
this goddamn Vizio.
Yes, no, she's just staring angrily at the 65-inch UHD Vizios. I don't know what they did to make her so mad, but she is like, just, like, she starts heavy breathing. Like, she is not happy with whatever's going on with that TV. Yes, so I don't know what to do, because, like, is she about to throw hands with the displays? Is that what I'm about to see here?
She's got some kind of true sight that lets her see something we don't see, because that makes no sense.
It's like when your cat just stares off into space and looks horrified like Kitty sees demons. That's what's going on here, right? I don't know what dementia fucking schizophrenic episode she's having, but I'm terrified of this woman. So she gets back into her cart and does a lap around the TV display. Then another, and then she just drives off into the club somewhere. And it's closing time now, so I have to go to the exit. I lock up the entrance, I go to the exit. I didn't see her leave.
This old woman's a ninja.
Like, I never saw her leave. And she had to have left. There's no way she didn't. Like, she had to have been... she had to have been removed from the building at some point. But I was there until 10 o'clock. I never saw her leave. I have no idea when she got out or how she got out. Right?
I like to believe she's still living there. Like that's our home.
I'd believe that too if it weren't for the fact that 3 months later, and I told people this story, and no one believed me except for like my one coworker who was involved. And I thought to myself for a while, I was like, did I just imagine all this shit? No, she comes back 3 months later. All right, it's winter now. It's snowing everywhere. And she comes back, and I'm at the door again, and she just has another mountain of shit. And, like, I don't know where she's getting it all from. I don't know if it's from us. But luckily, I get moved over to the exit. Unfortunately, that was not the right call to accept that move, because she comes back to the exit. Her cart she has bought, I got to see the receipt, because you have to check it at the exit. She had $1,200 plus of clothing and strawberry daiquiri mix.
So I'm trying to figure out the fractional difference between the clothes and the daiquiri mix. Like, so she did have, like, was it like an even 500, 500?
No. Or... She had, without exaggeration, I think it was a grand total of, I think it was 20 plus of these, like, 5-gallon jugs of strawberry daiquiri mix.
See, that's what's... Okay, I have solved the mystery. One, you roll a 2 on your perception check and the old lady snuck by you. The other one is she is just going ham on this daiquiri. She is just drinking daiquiris like they're water.
She is the daiquiri.
Showing up. She is the daiquiri.
Oh my god. So she shows up and she's like, I need help getting to my car. And I'm like...
Yes, you do. You do need help.
I was like, yes, you need help. It's help that I can't provide because I don't have a license for that. But God, you need help. Listen, euthanasia is now legal in Canada, and I feel like that's the only answer for this poor woman. So she needs help. So I call on the radio, one of the cart guys. They're all busy. But we have a cashier who's free. But
oh no,
it's wintertime. I'm standing next to the exit, so I'm wearing my jacket already. My cashier friend, on the other hand, does not have their jacket on. It would take way longer for them to go to the break room, get their jacket on, walk back, and then, take the lady out to her car. Instead, they have the cashier come and stand where I'm standing, because there is at least a heater there, and I will go out with her to her car. Now, my manager sees this. She's the head of safety. She sees that I'm about to leave into the parking lot with this lady in this electric cart, which is against company policy. We're not supposed to let them go out into the parking lot. It's not safe. They could get hit by a car. The battery could die, and they could be stranded out in the middle of nowhere. They're not supposed to do that. And the policy, or the idea behind the policy is, well, you were able to walk into the store to get into the cart. You should be able to get back to your car. But that is not what's happening here. So this lady is a major, major stickler for the rules. My manager does not bend or break on this sort of thing. She takes one look at the woman that I'm about to head out into the parking lot with, opens her mouth to speak, and then sees that it's her and just walks away. Doesn't say a word. And I'm like, what the fuck do the people that work here know that I don't? So I go with her out into the parking lot. It is slush everywhere. We just had an ice storm the previous night. And she is slipping and sliding all over this goddamn parking lot on the way to her car. And she just slams into her car with this electric cart as fast as it'll go. Opens the trunk. Her car is this very, very nice, expensive SUV, or at least it was. It's covered in scratches and gouges on the passenger side. If I had to guess, all from her. And she opens the trunk and has me load everything in there. She has an empty dog kennel with... it's not empty, my mistake. There's a bed in there. And another mountain of shit that she needs to go return. So I load all this stuff into her car. And she looks at me and she reaches into her wallet and she pulls out just this big wad of cash. Now, when you work at retail places like this, you're not supposed to accept tips. There's cameras everywhere. It's against policy. If you do it, you'll probably get caught. And she tells me she needs to give me a tip. And I just politely say, oh, I can't accept that. And she takes this wad of 20s and just shoves it into my face and screams at me to take it. And I just politely decline. And I go to get in the Mart cart, the little electric thing, to drive it back inside to get away from this lady. And I realize she's still screaming at me as she's climbing into her car. She starts the car. The radio is blasting so loudly that I can barely hear her over it. It looks like as she's screaming at me, she's actually singing the lyrics that's coming from the song. So I'm just driving away, and she throws the money out of the window. It just goes all over the ground. And then she backs out, and it's the most elegant, graceful backing on this icy road I've ever seen. Like, this lady can drive perfectly. And then goes out and is still screaming at me as she drives by to go to the intersection to leave. I never saw her again after that, but I don't know who this lady was, why she had this much money. I was horrified. She ran a business, I know that much, because on her receipt didn't have her name, it had a company name, but I never bothered looking into the company.
Grandma drug lord?
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
like, goddamn, the 80s were a long time ago. Were you one of the coke runners from that era? What is going on here?
maybe someone beat one of her best dealers down with a Vizio TV, and she's never forgiven them. Every time she sees a Vizio TV, she just gets flashbacks.
That's right. She's actually from the Italian mob, like the Italian mob. She hears Vizio and thinks it's actually like, an Italian name. And she hears Vizio. She goes, the Vizio, the bastards.
The Vizio, they assassinated my mama.
Baba da boopy, I baked a pizza, the Vizio. Someone in chat was asking, did you take the money? No, I did not take the money. I left it there.
As you should.
Yeah, no.
No, the only I don't have like these like the only crazy old person story is I wasn't even working at the store. Me and my dad were just walking up to Walmart because of course Walmart.
Only
And
good
as we're
things
walking,
happen at Walmart.
in the Walmart parking lot, that's where the good stuff happens. Either that or in Walmart at 2 a.m, back when they were open 24/7. So my dad and I were walking across the parking lot. We're going towards the grocery section of Walmart, and we just hear screaming and cussing. And I look up at him. I see him kind of looking around,
I gotta
see
cut
where
you off
the
for just 1 second. Some of you might have heard some audio coming from my phone for a second. Sorry about that. Carry on.
Oh, good. All right. So we're just walking across the parking lot, and we just hear these two people swearing at each other. It's this old woman in a little mobility scooter, and this just like, I can only describe him as a redneck punk because he has the ball cap, but it's like backwards and tilted. He's in like an old beat up truck, but it has a lift kit and just a ton of bumper stickers on the tailgate. Very like redneck chic is what I'll call it, very redneck chic truck, and they are cussing and swearing at each other, and just this redneck goes, "Fuck you, old lady," and then just the old woman goes, "Don't you fucking cuss at me." And they're just going back and forth, and I just hear my dad go, "It reminds me of my grandmother." It's like, wait, which one? For some reason, stupid me went, "Which one?" He's like, "Oh, just the old lady just swearing at random people in the parking lot." That just reminds me of my grandmother, and he just walks off.
Oh my god!
Like,
I don't miss jobs like that. Like a quick small story because we need to let Neko talk for a little bit. But I was at that same job. We had a guy who worked with us in a wheelchair, and his colostomy bag punctured one day while he was in the middle of like his shift. And yeah, like if you don't know what that is, people who are, you know, paralyzed from the waist down and stuff, a lot of the times they don't have bladder control or anything like that, so they have to have a bag hooked up to them that catches their waist. And he didn't notice. So for I think like 20-30 seconds, he was wheeling around, leaving just this enormous puddle trail of just piss and I think a little blood along the floor. And it was like, oh, before someone caught it. And it's like, that sucks, dude.
Like, yeah, because that's not something you can control. All right, Neko, your time. Story time.
Oh, Lord.
Deliver upon us a banger.
That's right.
So, y'all were talking about Walmart a couple minutes ago. My story comes from Walmart, actually, kind of. It's our McDonald's that is in the Walmart.
Oh, no. That is the epitome of classy right there.
So, I used to go into Walmart all the time with my parents to get groceries, and every time I'd go with them to get groceries, we'd stop at McDonald's on our way out, and I'd get, you know, my usual little kid's meal because I was happy. I was small. But there was always this guy there. He was really large. I don't know, Asian, Hispanic. I don't know, but he was large, and he always had like dead fish eyes, just staring blankly everywhere.
He was large and not white, therefore you didn't like him. Carry on.
Oh yeah, totally. Excuse me.
Yeah, racist.
Apologies. But he was always there. There's probably like one time I didn't see him there, but he would always just be like standing there. And whenever like a younger person, like a young adult or kind of older teenager would come around, he would ask them to like pay for his food, get him something to eat, and they would go up to the front. And he was sitting in such a way that the front like desk thing that you order at or whatever, or counter, that's the word, was right in front of him. So whenever they would go pay for it, you would see his dead fish eyes look down a bit, like he was looking at their butt. It was really creepy, and nobody did anything about it for like 2-3 years, I think, until one of the times we went in there, my brother had went in there to get him some food, and this man grabs him by the wrist, pulls him to him to ask him to get him food. That's where like
that's a line.
The manager,
that is a line you do not cross.
No.
The manager of the McDonald's like had put up with it for so long, and whenever she saw him grab him, she came out and she was about to throw hands. Like she would have lost her job, but would have thrown hands, and it would have been fantastic to see.
Oh,
I have not seen this guy around in a long time. Ever since that happened, actually, I haven't seen him. So maybe he got arrested. I don't know. Imagine so.
I got one more because that reminded me of my hometown's Walmart legend, air quotes. So the actual nickname we gave him was the Walmart pervert. And Walmart used to have the benches where when you went into the store, you'd have benches where people could sit if they were like done shopping or waiting on someone to pick them up. And there was this old guy that was always there. And anytime like one of the dudes would walk by, wouldn't say anything, wouldn't say hi, didn't care. Anytime someone's wife or any woman that walked past him, he would say hi, he would stand up, start talking to them, trying to engage them in a conversation. Well, it turns out he would like start talking to them and ask really, really invasive questions like, "Oh, do you masturbate?" Like he asked one of my classmates' mom, like, "Oh, what kind of dildo do you use?"
What the fuck?
And so He was just this old pervy. Well, the problem is that occasionally, like, he would do this to a high school girl, and her dad would be right behind her.
Oh,
And
no.
so he almost got his ass beat on multiple occasions. It got so bad that our local Walmart removed the benches from those like 2 entrances. So he had nowhere to sit. He would have to sit like go outside where people could walk around him.
Oh my god. That's
But
so
yeah,
bad.
we had a local air quotes legend, the Walmart pervert.
We had that's goddamn. Just imagine walking in, minding your own business, and you just hear, "Hey, how deep are you?"
It's, yeah,
How
that's
many
pretty much.
fingers?
He actually asked that.
Damn, girl, you fart with that ass.
Damn, bro.
Like, I was working the photo department once, and there's a service at this place where you can hook your phone into the kiosk, and your pictures will pop up, and then you can print out the pictures, right? Which is really cool, especially with how good cameras are nowadays, where you can print out a photo from your phone, and it won't be some blurry, low-res thing, because cameras take high-quality pictures now, like, better than some cameras at this point. So, you know, it's a really handy service. If you took a picture of something like that, you're at, like, a concert or something, and so oh god, my wife is in chat, and she's like, not this story. I don't know if she knows which one this is. And this girl and her dad come, and she walks in, and she's like, yeah, I need to get a picture of, I need to get something printed from my phone. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And all you got to do is you'll go plug in your phone, and we can pick out the picture, and we can hit print. And she starts walking over, and she grabs the plug, and she goes to plug it in, and she stops. And I'm like, and she just says, like, all of my pictures will pop up. And I'm like, yeah, on the screen. And then I'm just sitting there, and it clicks in my head. Because she looks very nervous and uncomfortable now. And she, like, gives, like, that little glance over the shoulder at her dad. And it kind of clicks into my head, like, oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm about to get my ass beat. Like, this is an ass whooping that I did not ask to be invited to. But I just got a fast pass to, isn't it?
Get some popcorn for it at least.
And so she says, so it'll show like all of my photos, and I'm like, yeah. And so in a moment of genius on her part, because like let's if I'm not being obvious enough, she must have had nudes. She had nudes on her fucking phone. There's no way she didn't.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't act like that unless you've got some shit on there that you do not want Daddy Dearest to see.
Nudes are a dead body.
Yeah, and mind you, the amount of times I saw people's tits working this department was very unfortunate. Because a lot of them were not nice, and even if they were, I didn't ask for that, you know?
Like, man, I just want to go, like, get my money and go home. I don't want to look at your boobies now.
Yeah, that's right. Put them away. Put your fucking chest balls away.
Put them Dahunka Bengaloos away.
So she says, oh, I should delete some pictures real quick because I have a lot of them and I don't want to have to scroll forever to find it. And I was like, that's an amazing idea. You should do that right now. It'll make everything so much easier for us, please God. Yeah, so she did that. I wasn't always so lucky. Like, there are times, I work, or not work, sorry. I do a lot of stuff with hobbying and stuff like that. And, with, like, models and stuff. I paint Warhammer models. It's no secret.
Hell yeah.
And the amount of times someone that I know, like, or I won't even know them personally, just someone I'll have interacted with, like, at a store or something, will be like, oh, you paint too? Yeah, let me show you this thing I painted. And so I'll be looking at their photos as they show me them swiping through, trying to get to the picture. And I'd be like, all right, cool, cool. Odd pictures of your house. Okay, cool, nice cat. Sweet cock, bro. High five. Okay. Hey, there's the model.
That's why I try to, like, have my friends, like, hold their... Because I know some of these dudes have, like, dick pics. Like,
Why? Why would you save that? Why would you save that on your phone? What purpose at any moment would you need to have immediate access to a photo of your dick? At what point in your life do you need that just to have on hand?
Fred and I had that conversation. Like, why do you think you need to, like, whip out a picture? If you are in a position where she is asking for it, you are usually going to be in a position to supply it yourself. Like, you don't need it, like, you don't need an image, a reference ready to go.
Someone in chat, they needed it to show you. Fuck off.
This is completely off topic, but in high school there was a guy who was in my theater class because I was in technical theater. I handled the lights and the sound and all that jazz. But he would go up to random people, say, "Hey, you want to see something cool?" And he'd show them their phone. And I was curious what he was showing them because like they didn't make a reaction or anything because they didn't want to get the theater director on his case or on their case for whatever was being shown. So my stupid ass was like, hey, can I see what you were showing? And he whips out just a picture of his cock. Just
Okay, but was it also the balls?
yes, it was.
Sweet.
But
Lucky you, bro. Lucky you.
the things that happen in high school theater are wicked.
I had in the locker room at high school fucking uncomfortable experience. I walked in on two of my classmates discussing their penises in an uncomfortable amount of detail. And when I walked out, they were, I think, about to do a little show and tell.
So, so I have a story to follow up. So I was in my junior year. I ended up being put in a dorm room with a bunch of freshmen because I had got my housing application in late. I was transferring, and so I got roomed up with a bunch of like freshman cross country guys. Of course, we're great friends now. That should tell you how the story goes. And one morning, and I had finally started getting used to their shenanigans. I had finally started getting used to them just like walking out like in nothing but their underwear, like the bathroom constantly smelling like used shoe, like the
Used shoe.
like that's the like sweaty used shoe is what the best way I could describe this smell. Anyways, one morning, one of my best friends, Calvin, and I can tell this story, is we just hear this, and he's hitting something skin to skin to the beat of Beyonce.
All the single ladies.
And it was early morning, and he just kind of leans out of the bathroom. He's like, "Dude, this beat's pretty dope." And he's like, and then for some reason I was like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm making a beat with my morning wood." And he just goes back into the bathroom. I keep hearing him like just keep using his dick like a drumstick and like
thump 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 thump.
Yeah, pretty much. And I had become so numb to this bullshit. I went, "Oh yeah, that's cool. I guess I'll try it when I get home this weekend." I don't know.
I had a roommate in college. I drew the fucking short stick of roommates in college because I had two shitty dorm roommates back to back. Our dorms were like, when you had a roommate, you had a roommate. You didn't have multiple people in a room. It was just two. And I had this roommate who, I don't know if he had body image issues or what was wrong with him. And I like that we somehow got to this topic when we were talking about retail. But
now we're talking about penises. Let's go.
I mean, they're basically the same thing, aren't they? So
someone's getting
more or
fucked over.
less.
So, anyways, this guy, we'll call him Nathan. Nathan, I don't know if Nathan had issues like with his body image or something like that, but Nathan was like 6'4" and weighed maybe 90 pounds. Right? Had a big beak of a nose and these beady little eyes. Very creepy face. He looked like a bird. Like, he had really and his height was all legs. He looked like a flamingo. So, I never noticed this because the way our room was set up, the dorm room itself is not very big. So, if I was working on my desk faced the wall. So, if I was looking at my desk, I couldn't see anything around me. Because if he was doing anything, unless he was standing right to my left, he had to be behind me. So, for the first 2 months of living in that dorm, I didn't notice whatever he was doing behind me. Then one day, I'm doing something, and I text my brother, because my brother wants to come hang out in the dorm room. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So, I'm just playing fucking Skyrim or something. And I just happen to glance over my shoulder, and there is an ass in front of my face. He is completely bottomless. And he's just standing there. And he's just staring at himself in the mirror. Just staring. And so I don't know what's going on. I just assume, okay, he thought I wasn't going to look back behind me. Maybe I need to give him a moment of privacy, so I just pretend I didn't see shit. And then I hear the door open, and he has wrapped a towel around his waist, and he leaves the room. It's like, okay, he's going to the showers. And it clicks into my head for a second, like, wait, the showers have changing rooms. The fuck? So he leaves, and he goes to the shower. My brother shows up, and he's like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, not great.
Good.
And I explained the situation to him. I was like, what just happened? I was like, it's really weird. And he was like, oh, that is odd. So the door opens, and my brother's in the room, and Nathan comes back in. And I'm like, hey, Nathan. Oh, yeah. That was his voice. He sounded exactly like that. Yeah. You got anything on underneath that towel, buddy? Oh, no. And then he just takes it off. Right in front of my brother, in front of me. And we're both just kind of sitting there like, what the fuck are you doing? So, my brother and I excuse ourselves. We leave. And when I come back, I'm like, Noah. Yeah. You can't just do that in front of people, bro. It's my room. I'm like, that's great, but there are other people in it. I don't care. It's my room. And I'm like, yeah, but Noah, none of us want to see your dick or your ass. Why are you gay? What? What?
Listen.
What?
Listen. Even a gay man doesn't want to see that shit. Cover it up.
No one wants to see that shit. It's like, what the fuck? Why is that your immediate question? Like, what? So, anyways.
You should have said, yes, I am. And that should tell you something. Cover it up.
It's like, yes, I am. And I'm getting hard and it's very uncomfortable. So stop it. So, he leaves. And some time goes by. And a few days go by. I don't know why I said he leaves. So, time goes by. And this happens a few times. Before finally, I just tell him, Noah. Oh, sorry. I should have called... No, his name's Noah. Fuck it. Noah, listen, my man, my dude, my hombre. When you're gonna change, do me a favor. Like, you know, like, you're going to go shower, right? Yeah. Just use the changing stall. No. I don't do that. And I'm like, what? I don't do that. I don't use those. And I'm like, why? So I asked, like, why? He goes, I don't use those. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a story there. I don't know. And I'm like, all right, well then, can you at least just give me a heads up when you're gonna, like, you know, like, gonna change? I shouldn't have to do that. So this guy's existence in this room, it is very important that he gets to walk around with his dick just flopping out. No, never naked. He always has his shirt on. Always.
Oh, that...
Yeah, no, like, so, there were several times I would open my dorm room, and he would just be standing in the full-body mirror with just his bottoms off, staring at himself for several minutes. Like, just, this happened repeatedly. And I just don't know why. To this day, I don't know why he was doing that.
What if he's just doing, like, positive affirmations in the mirror about his dong? He's like, you got a big dick.
If I was him, I certainly wouldn't have been.
Oh.
So...
Oh, so
he was
you, like,
hairy.
studied it in detail.
No, so the first things first, I could only see the tip, okay? That's how much hair there was.
Oh, God.
Yes, his ass, just as hairy. So, one day, I've had enough, and I tell him, listen, Noah, if you don't stop, we're gonna go talk to the RA about this, because this needs to stop, okay? This is, at this point, this is sexual harassment. You gotta stop. And he goes, I don't get why you're mad, okay? Last year... I have improved so much from last year because I used to just go to the shower without the towel. Now, to go to the shower, you have to walk into the hallways where everyone else is. So I learned that day that for apparently an entire year, this man would just walk with his cock out in a co-ed dorm building to the shower.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Right.
Why?
Like,
I don't know. So finally, I have a very serious talk. I'm like, you need to stop. If you're going to change, you need to tell me. Because I don't want to just spin around and be face to face. And also, why is it when you're doing this, you're standing directly behind me? And not just behind me, like, I can reach out and touch him. That level of closeness.
oh, no. Okay, like, in my dorm, like, we had, like, room. Like, of course, the cross-country guys made very good use of the changing areas to make sure that, you know...
No,
unless they were
like,
just
this room is
meeting each
packed
other.
enough that if I stood between the beds, and I laid down, I'm 6'1". If I laid down flat between these two beds, my head would be on one of the beds and my feet would be on the other. Like, we are that level of closeness.
Oh, no, hell no. Like, if you're roommates, no, that bitch better put some goddamn clothes on.
Yeah, so I just finally, he agrees that he'll start telling me when he's going to change, because as it turns out, he's from a very religious family, and it would not be a good look if if he got kicked out of college for sexually harassing a dude when you're from a hyper religious family. It was really bad. He did this when I had a girl over. And the thing was, like, I say that as if, like, oh, I had a... No, this girl was my friend. That was all she was. She was just my friend, and that's all I wanted her to be. So imagine her and my shock when we're both just sitting there talking and doing classwork, and he walks in and just takes his pants and his underwear off, and then starts walking around the room.
Yeah, nah.
Nah, fam.
No, there would have been female friends in college at the time. Like, all the dudes were super protective, and if someone had like whipped their dong out, someone would have been just dead.
That's an ass beating waiting to happen. No, so yeah, after that semester I swapped rooms, and he kept telling people I was gay. I don't know what that was about. That was really odd. It was funny to watch him talk to people too, because he I don't know what was going on. I used to go to the gym when I was in college, and I hurt myself, so I stopped. And for like a week or two, I walked funny. Like, you know that exaggerated, like, you know, put one shoulder out in front of you, then the other shoulder out in front of you, walk, like the I'm so big and muscly walk.
Oh, yeah.
So I messed my back up, and I had to walk like that for a week, because it was the only way that didn't hurt. And then after that, for like the rest of the semester, that's how he walked after seeing me do it. It was really weird. And it was super exaggerated. Like, he would have his arm almost all the way out in front of him. Like, he looked like a bird, just swaying his wings out in front of him as he walked.
Just imagine a fucking penguin waddle.
Yeah, oh my god. And I don't know if he thought that maybe it looked cool and that's how he gets to be cool or not. Oh my god. Oh, so, hey, we've been going for about an hour now. Is there anything else you guys need to wrap up or say before we wrap up?
One thing. So, like, what if you had like just shit yourself, or like you just had like hurt your butthole like with a really powerful shit, and you were walking like that for a week? What do you follow?
What do you mean? What if? No, you gonna call me out like that on the live stream, Taylor?
Yes, I am. I'm just wondering if you had hurt yourself in another way, like that made you walk funny. What do you think? Oh, that's how cool kids walk. I'm gonna walk that way.
Oh my god, I have more stories about him. A lot of them are not like the stories I told about him weren't super appropriate for the TOS of Twitch, but like the ones I could tell you, they get worse. They get so much worse.
Oh
Lord, the whipping the dong out in front of your female friend. I'm like. Like that's pretty. That starts getting into territory where they can boot your ass out.
No. You don't understand. This dude, like, first of all, like, I won't go into super details. He was racist as shit.
Oh
yeah,
yikes.
Like openly.
That's a capital
religious
OOF.
and racist. Gotcha.
Getting that pleasant person bingo card filled out.
Oh my god, it's so bad. But yeah, Taylor, you got anything you need to plug or promote before we wrap up?
No, not really.
No, Neko?
I don't got nothing. I'm just here.
Y'all are goddamn useless. Bunch of useless potatoes.
Fine. I'm plugging in Noah's OnlyFans. Do you wish to see the tiny dicked hobbit yourself?
He's not a hobbit. He was 3 inches taller than me and weighed a third of what I weigh.
Fine. A very stretched out looking hairy ass hobbit guy.
There you go. Oh my god.
This is brought to you by Manscaped.
No, it is not. God, it should have been. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully see y'all next Saturday. Have a good one.
Yep.